people get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the same thing. You can make jokes about any subject. It depends what the joke is.
Yeah.
There's no rules. You can't joke about this. You can.
You should be able to.
You just can.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's nothing sacred.
Well, that's
really.
the point. There's nothing sacred.
In a world where saying the wrong thing can get you canceled before you can even say woke, Ricky Gervais might just be the hero we didn't know we needed. He's like a comedian with a scalpel slicing through nonsense with sharp sarcasm. Get ready to watch as Ricky Gervais breaks down woke culture with laughter that echoes all the way to the bank.
Well, when you go on the Golden Globes, a lot of time you are politically incorrect and hilarious, of course.
Thank you.
And so,
Thank you.
So this is,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that, but... You know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything...
Let's kick things off with a little reality check from Ricky. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you get to shut down the conversation. Offense is like your Aunt Carol's tuna casserole. Some people love it, some people hate it, and some people are just allergic. But Ricky's right. If we start banning everything that someone might find offensive, we'll be left with nothing but cat videos. And even those walk the line, he pole vaults over it with a cheeky grin. Apologies not in his vocabulary. The guy's got a point. If you're going to make a joke, make it count. Woke culture wants comedians to tiptoe around feelings, but Ricky's here to remind us that humor is about pushing boundaries, not tiptoeing over them like you're sneaking out of a bad date.
I stand up, I say, wasn't him anymore, he's cancelled.
Woke comedy. Ricky tried it, so you don't have to. It's like going to a buffet and finding out everything's gluten-free and tastes like cardboard. Comedy needs to have an edge. A punchline that makes you think, did he really just say that? Woke comedy is like a joke that apologizes before it even gets to the punchline. No wonder Ricky would rather watch Louis C.K. At least Ricky dives into the deep end of the gender debate. And let's just say he's not wearing floaties. The man has a knack for pointing out the absurdities that woke culture tries to pass off as normal. It's like watching someone insist that a square peg fits in a round hole. It just doesn't. And no amount of shouting bigot is going to change that. Ricky's humor here is brutal, but hey, sometimes the truth hurts, and it's freaking hilarious.
Let's have a look at Ricky Gervais.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime. It makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country. You don't want that.
Now let's talk about influencers. Ricky's take on them is refreshing, filled with sarcasm and a good dose of reality. The idea that someone selling detox teas and hair gummies on Instagram should be our guide to life is as funny as it sounds. Ricky's pointing out the craziness of a world where the person with the most followers gets to tell us how to live. And if they threaten to leave the country, well, there's the door.
As it was, I didn't have to worry about offending anyone, because it just happens, so... And the big controversy last time I did it was a Caitlyn Jenner joke, right? Oh, outrage on Twitter the next day. And by outrage, I mean a couple of people going, it was transphobic. It wasn't transphobic in the slightest. It was a joke about a trans person, but the joke had nothing to do with that aspect of her existence. And that's the other thing about offence. People get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target, and they're not necessarily the same. I'll tell you the joke. You make your own minds up. Right. So... It's live, so they go, and now your host for the 68th Annual Golden Globe Awards, please welcome Ricky Gervais. They go, and they're all clapping, all the actors are looking up, smiling at me nervously. It's brilliant, right? So I just go, relax, I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner, obviously. And I go, now Caitlyn Jenner, of course, and what a year she's had. Became a role model for trans people everywhere, bravely breaking down barriers and destroying stereotypes. She didn't do a lot for women drivers. Right? So, that's a clever joke, and I'll tell you why, right? It's layered. No, listen, right? The subject of that joke is stereotypes. I'm playing with the notion of stereotypes, right? So I start off saying, she's a real woman. Some would say a liberal, progressive attitude. Then I go, oh, if she's a real woman, I hit them with the old-fashioned reactionary stereotype. She must be a bad driver then, right? And the target of the joke is a celebrity killing someone in their car. Let's not forget that, shall we? A celebrity killing someone in their car, running home and popping on a dress. That's the target of the joke, just so we're clear, okay? She was interviewed about a week later at some press conference for a show she was launching, now cancelled. And the press were around and one of them said, what do you think of the Ricky Gervais joke? And she went, maybe I should host the Golden Globes, right? And they tweeted that, and they atted me in, because they want a celebrity feud, you know? It was clickbait, so I rose to the bait, obviously. I just sent back, let her host, just don't let her drive. Another website that was in the room, Entertainment Weekly, they tweeted a different headline, and they atted me in as well. And their headline was, Caitlyn finally breaks silence over Ricky Gervais. I just sent back, at last. She always breaks too late. Bring it on. Bring it on. But I'm a considered comedian. I like my jokes to be accurate and my targets to be fair. So I was engaging these people. I was saying, why is it transphobic? And they were saying, it's about a trans person. I said, well, that's ridiculous. That's like saying a joke about Bill Cosby is automatically racist. It depends on the joke. But I was talking to them, I'm willing to learn, and I found out my crime was that I dead-named her. Now, I'd never heard that term, you know, before a day after the Golden Globes, and that was saying her old name, and even acknowledging that she used to be a man. But she did. I saw him on the Olympic Games. It was decathlete. It was in everything. He was all over the place. Shot put and pole vault. He won a medal. He was famous. He was on telly all the time. But, you know, a big, famous man with a huge, I don't know, but I mean, I'm guessing he probably, he's a big, but I've learned my lesson. Now, I'd never dead name her now. Now I know it's wrong. I'd never dead name her now. But, like, years ago, when, you know, she was a man.
Now this is classic Ricky taking a controversy and turning it on its head. The Caitlyn Jenner joke was never about Jenner's gender. It was about the insane way celebrity culture works. If you're famous enough, you can do almost anything and still be hailed as a hero. Ricky's not buying it, and neither should we. He's cutting through the noise to remind us that actions have consequences, no matter who you are or what you identify as, because nothing says awoke like a company preaching about dignity while paying workers pennies to make your iPhone. Ricky's not letting them get away with it, and we're here for it. It's like watching a magician reveal the trick. It's all smoke and mirrors, and Ricky's the guy pulling back the curtain. Woke culture loves to point fingers, but Ricky's here to remind us that sometimes those fingers are covered in hip-hop. Ricky's got a knack for taking woke culture's obsessions and turning them into punchlines that hit harder than a brick wall. Diversity is important, sure, but when you start applying it to things like death, you've officially gone off the deep end. Ricky's humor here is like a cold splash of water, refreshing and a little shocking. He's reminding us that not everything needs to be a diversity checklist, and sometimes a joke is just a joke.
Oh, I was salivating. Honestly, I got an adrenaline rush thinking of, you know, what I could say and whether I'd have to go to jail. And you know, I like that opportunity because I do like that, you know, when there's a tension, when there's an elephant in the room. Although he wasn't there this year. I do like that because I do like confronting that because I think it takes the audience to a place it hasn't been before. Mm-hmm. And it can be a mutual backslapping, you know, fest, fine, but don't televise it, you know, because I'm not doing it for the 200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires.
Ricky doesn't just poke the bear. He walks right up to it, slaps it across the face, and waits to see what happens. And let's be honest, We love him for it. He's not interested in pleasing the Hollywood elite. He's speaking to the rest of us who are tired of being told what to think, what to say, and how to laugh. Ricky's willing to take the risks because he knows that the truth wrapped in a joke is still the truth. And if it makes a few people squirm, even better.
You call me Bobo, so I'm going to have species realignment. I'm halfway there, to be honest. I'm sort of short with short legs and long arms. I sort of stoop like that. My back's getting hairier by the day. I've got fangs. I love nuts. Oh, I love nuts. And once I was at the zoo and I could tell people were looking at me, so I just started masturbating. So I am a chimp, right? I am a chimp if I say I'm a chimp. And so I've got to live as a chimp for a year, then have hormones, get me all nice and hairy. That'd be lovely, right? I'm going to stay a male chimp so I can keep all that, right? A male heterosexual chimp, keep the same girlfriend. Jane will be happy. She loves me. She loves chimps, so, you know. And I reckon that's got to be easier for a man to turn into a chimp. We're so close. Than for a man to turn into a woman in many ways. You know what I mean? A bit of hair and a top lip like that, as opposed to your cock and balls ripped off and a hole gouged out into... No, I'm not a doctor, but that is the gist of it. I know which one I'd rather have done. And I'm not saying I think chimps are better than women. No way. Right? Any ladies here, right? I can't see you, but to me, every single one of you is equal to a chimp. So...
Finally, Ricky takes identity politics to its most ridiculous level. Species realignment. It's absurd. It's over the top, and that's the whole point. Ricky's humor here is like a funhouse mirror reflecting woke culture's craziness back at us. If you can identify as anything, then why not a chimp? He's got a point. Sometimes the best way to handle the absurd is to laugh at it. And Ricky makes us laugh. In a world where free speech is constantly under pressure, Ricky Gervais might just be the champion we didn't know we needed. He's not just making us laugh, he's making us think. And if this video offended you, well, that's kind of the point. Thanks for watching. Remember, the truth isn't always comfortable, but it can still be pretty funny.